is the voice of disruption.
Welcome back to the Voice of Disruption. I'm Ken Rakowski, of course, here to help you understand what it takes to disrupt yourself or find disruptive technologies that are going on in the world. I'm being joined by Eric. I know you have a nickname. They call you Helix. Wolfson is joining us. First, what's the Wolfson?
That's my last name.
Exactly. And what's the Helix?
That's my nickname.
Why?
Oh, it's a long story, but let's just put I never really resonated with Eric. I've always had nicknames, and Helix is one that stuck with me. And it feels more like me than my actual name.
I look at you as a hero, okay? And I'm gonna get to it. People are wondering, why are you a hero? First, good friend.
Yes.
We've been hanging out for years. And you do things that are audacious, over the top. You're always known for doing things that are a bit crazy, but they are entertaining and you affect lots of people. From events like Burning Man, you have something called Lightning in a Bottle, big events.
Yep.
How would you describe these events?
So the events that I do my installations at, I do my work at, are generally in the Burning Man milieu, so they're transformational festivals.
Okay.
Lightning in a Bottle is one you mentioned. I've been a part of Lightning in a Bottle, in fact, the mayor of Lightning in a Bottle for the last 6 years. I just did a new installation at the Oregon Eclipse Festival, which was like 70,000 people up in Oregon, all gathered for this incredible, the full solar eclipse. And then I have built at Burning Man as well. But transformational festivals, but we've also been bringing that out and trying to bring that into the regular world and allow people to come get a glimpse of what that culture is like.
Is that a hobby or is that a career?
It's the beginnings of a career. It started as a hobby. It's now sort of becoming a pivotal part of what I do and creating experiences.
Let's go through the process, because you don't just go to the event, you actually become this character. It's a new person.
Characters.
Yeah. But you've created a specific character that is almost like the personification of what you would...
of love.
Yeah, it's also what you wish you could almost be if it was okay.
I don't know about that.
Well, his name is Polyamory.
Polyamory.
Okay, and Polyamory is?
Polyamory is an Italian Lothario, sort of the mayor of love, who was, elected mayor of this music festival, Lightning in a Bottle, in 2012, and was subsequently reelected many times over. And it was a gag initially. It was a sort of lampooning of the polyamorous culture that is a big part of the world that I inhabit. Many of whom often take themselves a little too seriously, in my opinion.
Yes,
it's a little precious. And Amore was sort of this idea of, hey, I'm polyamore, don't take yourself so seriously,
Yeah, but it's theoretically, you did take it pretty seriously, because your real name as of today is?
Polyamory.
You changed your name.
I did.
But you didn't change it because you wanted to become that character. You did it because you looked at it as an opportunity to change the landscape of almost a predetermined political system in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, so we decided after a number of years of doing this character, and this character has become sort of beloved in festival circuit, that a number of producers had approached me and said, you should do something with this. You should create an IP around this character. And that's how it started. So I got to thinking, well, what would an IP around Amore look like?
Okay.
And my father, in 2013, wrote a piece that was in the Huffington Post, and in it he said, it was all about the sort of sorry states of politics in the world, and it was focused sort of on Anthony Weiner, and when that all was happening.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he said, we need a new type of politics. We need loving politics. I think my son, Polyamory, should run for mayor of Los Angeles.
He was joking, but again, the character of what Polyamory stood for is love, it's togetherness.
Yes.
So you almost took that to heart. Well, you did.
Yeah.
This is where it's going to get to where it's disruptive. I'm talking to Eric Wolfson, we call him Helix, who's joining us at our Voice of Disruption studios. So, Helix, you decided that you are going to, and I say predetermined political system, we kind of already knew who the next mayor is going to be. It's the existing legacy mayor. He had the fundings, he had everything going. He had the name.
Yeah.
You decided, I'm going to try something brand new in Los Angeles. And that was?
I wanted to bring love into politics, and I wanted to use LA as a starting place for that. And this is, of course, hot on the heels of this, tempestuous presidential cycle that we saw, in which it was just hatred and vitriol that was being spewed back and forth.
On all sides.
On all sides.
Right.
And when I decided to do this, everyone was living in a world in which we were pretty certain, other than you, that our next president would be Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd planned to make my announcement that I was running for mayor 3 days after the presidential election on the steps of City Hall. And of course, things didn't go down exactly as we thought they would. And so it was actually this moment of this sort of dark night of the soul, like in this very now divided America. Does it make sense to do this? Does it make sense to kind of, in some ways, lampoon our political system, which was already felt like in a precarious state?
Especially on both coasts.
On both coasts.
Yeah, the coasts are probably the most agitated than anything.
Absolutely.
Before we go there, you wanted to separate you as being Eric or Helix from polyamory.
Yeah, because I never had political aspirations as Eric Wolfson, as Helix. I never had political aspirations. This idea, and people ask me a lot, don't you think you would have been more effective as yourself? And I said, I never thought to do this. This was Amori. The idea came from being Amori, and it was about spreading love. I had been preaching this idea of voting for love in the festival world, and I said, this needs to be brought into the mainstream.
So through the process, you changed your name legally.
Yes. The only way to get on the ballot officially as polyamore was to change my name legally to polyamore.
Which wasn't as difficult as you thought.
No, it was, well, it's difficult emotionally. Talk about disruption. You want to disrupt yourself? Talk about this. Then you change your name. You don't realize how much value is tied up in your name. It becomes, you know, it's your face to the world. Everything I've done is under this name, and so changing it was like it was a gulp. It was like.
So what happens? Is it like losing an email address? All that data is gone on your old name?
No, it's all there. Everything's still there, but you know you're sort of divorced from it. But it's also incredibly freeing. I mean, the second I was in the court and I had done the name change, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for my paperwork, and I hear Polyamore, please come to the window, and just lost it. Yeah,
you were born.
I lost it. I was just laughing hysterically. But it's like once you do that, it's sort of like a lot of other things become easier. It's a strange.
Is it because
thing.
The old you's erased and there's a new identity?
No, it's because. If you can change your entire identity that easily, you know, something that your entire world is tied around, your identity, it's sort of ego disrupting.
Ah, got it.
Yeah.
Name's changed.
Yeah.
You decide you're going to run for mayor.
Yes.
You go through this process. You make the announcement. You did something I thought was really unique, which I would love to see in other mayoral or even presidential campaigns. You united with the other candidates.
Yeah, and so, you know, as I was thinking about how do you run a campaign based on love, every decision I made had to be what would love do, and so it's not an ambiguous answer. You know, love is very. It's a very consistent thing, you know. I mean, and it doesn't allow you to, if you're really being loving, it doesn't allow you to. Well, maybe if I put a little money in my pocket,
Can't do that.
No, you can't do that. So when I was thinking about how to run the campaign, I thought, well, what have I seen out there? What happened in this presidential cycle? It was smear tactics. All they did was spend time talking about how negatively about each other. So I thought, well, what if instead of smear tactics, I employed spread tactics? Spread the love. Yeah. So I interviewed the other mayoral candidates, all of them who were willing to do it, which was including me, about 7, because I interviewed myself. And I talked about what I loved about them.
High production value. You went in, you shot it like a TV show, you did the interviews. Great suggestions and ideas from these people.
Yeah, well, and it did really unite it. And Amori became, in some ways, the underdog symbol of the election. Like, all of the other candidates were like, they put me forth as the guy to sort of represent the election, you know, which was cool. And I formed friendships with
Sounds incredible. You went through this. How much money did you end up spending?
That's a good question. Not that much, you know, like probably 15,000 or under.
It doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah, not for a mayoral campaign.
Considering, wait, you're a social media guy. You got social media experts along with this. You did this massive challenge, almost David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
And the voting came out, and how'd you do?
I came in dead last.
Last place.
Yeah, last place. Love lost. But I will remind you that, and I've thought about this, I'm the guy out there literally telling people in my messages, you don't have to vote for me. Vote for one of these other beautiful candidates. Just vote. I really didn't make it about getting votes.
Right.
In fact,
it's like Brewster's Millions.
Yeah, let's give it away. In fact, it took my mother, the day after the election, my parents came down. My proud parents, quasi-proud parents came down, for the election night announcement and party. And the next day, my mom said, how do you feel about the fact that you came in last? And I actually, it took me aback because I never thought of it as anything but a raging success, It
was.
Even though I came in last, that was never the point.
But you gave a damn.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
I really did.
How do you get other people, when they actually have, I got to make a change feel, how do they move forward?
I mean, I think it's like growing a business in that if your heart's not in it, your results will never get, you'll never get what you want. If you're just in it for the money, if you're just in it for the notoriety. When I started the project, I had very different goals with it. When I really opened myself up to the mantra of what would love do, it changed everything. And suddenly, I didn't care about winning. Not that I ever really did, but I didn't care about, the notoriety or any of that. All I cared about was doing what was right and taking care of people and working with the homeless. And it really changed me and my life.
The only thing I wanted to see was when I arrive in Los Angeles airport, I wanted to hear you.
Hello, this is Mayor Paulie Amore. Welcome to LAX.
That's what I want to hear. Changing the name or keeping it?
I'm keeping it for now.
Are you?
I'm not done.
All right, so I'm going to thank Paulie Amore for joining us.
Pleasure.
This is, of course, Voice of Disruption. When we come back, we'll talk about what's going on when it comes to your food and how things are being disrupted there. Our next guest, Eric Oberholzer, is going to join us. You don't want to miss this. Again, Voice of Disruption, Paulie Amore, Ken Rakowski. We'll be right back.